Hello, YouTube. Happy New Year. Today's January the 3rd, and I wanted to share with you a live stream that I did over on Instagram. I think it's going to have some really helpful tools for all of you who might be struggling with seasonal depression this time of year. Now, I do have some watchers who are in Australia and are on these different latitudes that maybe don't have this issue right now, but I wanted to go ahead and create this live stream for anybody who is in that northern hemisphere who is starting to have these cloudy, gloomy days that we're not going to really get a great break from until March or April, some people even May. So a lot of these tools and tips are things that are very affordable that you can do at home. And there are 2 free guides that I mentioned. Those are going to be linked down in the information section for you, a free guide to using blue blockers, as well as my free guide to shorter days and longer nights. Today's January 3rd, so through midnight tomorrow night, January 4th, all of my courses are on sale for 20% off with code end of year. Would love it if you wanted to check those out. If you want a deeper look at some of these things I talk about and how to apply them in your life. Again, my goal for 2023 is just to really create as much free content as possible, but I also do want to offer that discount on courses that is available right now. I do want to thank a couple sponsors quickly before we jump into this episode. The first one is going to be Viva Rays. Now, these are my orange lenses that I wear after sunset. So these are really helpful to keep your circadian rhythms in line. And Viva Rays also offers prescription. So you can send your prescription into Viva Rays also. My code to save there is Yogi for 15% off. There's going to be a link down in the information section for you for Viva Rays, my go-to source for circadian glasses. Absolutely love them. Second sponsor of today's show is going to be Upgraded Formulas. Now, a lot of times people struggling with sleep and fatigue and muscle issues, they might also have a mineral imbalance. So Upgraded Formulas is really my go-to source for understanding a mineral imbalance. A blood test is only going to show you about an immediate issue. A hair tissue mineral analysis with a consultation will show you what's been going on over the last 60 to 90 days. So you can use my code YOGI12 or YOGI to save over at Upgraded Formulas. And thank you for both of those sponsors for making today's episode possible, all this awesome content on keeping away from seasonal depression. All right, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and enjoy this live stream. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Surprise live stream. Thought I would come on and talk a little bit about seasonal depression and just some easy tools, tips, things that you can do. A lot of them are not going to cost you a ton of money to help you get through this time with seasonal depression. Now, I'm here on the East Coast. I am down in Georgia, so it's not like the polar vortex like a lot of my Canadian friends. I do have a lot of Canadian friends here on Instagram, and I'm going to post this on YouTube. I know I've got a lot of Canadians over there as well, and people in Northern Europe and these really cold climates. So I do have the advantage of being able to go outside a little bit more. Good morning, Becky. And, this is just a topic that, it started to hit me a little bit now that we just had days and days of just gloom and rain, and knowing that we're not really going to get this beautiful sun in springtime for 2 to 3 more months. And I know a lot of you guys are in the same boat also. So yes, I wanted to just come on and maybe give some tips for anyone struggling right now, some things that you can do that are pretty easy. Before I jump into that, I'll wait for some people to come on. I want to just let you guys know, good morning, everybody coming in. Southern New Jersey, that's one of those places where it's just really cold. In Southern Ontario, yeah, lots of, it's just can be gloomy this time of year unless you live in like California. Yes, and yes, we do need the morning sunlight in our eyes. And someone says, no sun at all. I missed morning sun. Yes, but it's still there. So here where I am, absolutely can't see any kind of sun, but it's still there. So I'm going to talk about the importance and how to work around that in this live stream. So quickly, a couple announcements. First of all, I have a full guide in my bio called Shorter Days, Longer Nights. It's a free guide, and it's going to have links to a lot of the things I talk about here on this live stream. And then I also am having, so that's free. I have another free guide to using blue blockers, which can be a really, really helpful tool to deal with seasonal depression. I'll talk about why. I think a lot of people are like, oh, blue blockers, whatever, but they're very helpful to deal with that seasonal depression. So I have a free guide in my bio called the Free Guide to Using Blue Blockers that you can get those 2 free guides. And then I also am having a sale on all my courses through tomorrow, January 4th, 20% off with code end of year. And Jess says she's downloaded both. Awesome. And you can share those out with friends and family members. Like I want to just, my goal for 2023 is to create more guides, more free stuff. I love my courses, and I have a lot of courses organized to help people, but my goal this year is to create a lot of free guides for people who maybe the courses are not accessible for them. So just know that if you're following my page and all the stuff that I'm doing, I really want this information to be widely available to as many people as possible. So feel free to share my guides if you download them with friends, family members, anybody that you think could be helped. So, and I tend to get distracted on live streams by comments because I love interacting with you guys. It's so fun. So I'm going to do my best to stay on track here. And if I see a question that pops up as I'm discussing something, I'll try to answer it too. And then I'll leave some time to answer questions when I'm finished. So here's the thing about seasonal depression. If you search for scientific research, right? That's a good question, makeup addict. I'll talk about that because I experiment with both types of blue blockers, honestly. But if you, see there, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. All right. I'm just going to talk and I'm going to try not to read the comments. Pray for me. But essentially, if you look at the scientific research on circadian rhythms and depression, it's astounding. There is a ton of information on circadian rhythm disruption and depression. Not only that, but also cancer, obesity, diabetes, thyroid disorders, hormonal disorders, tons and tons of scientific information. So a lot of us start the new year off and we're going to do this like perfect clean diet and stick to it and, go all in, and we're not doing the circadian health stuff. And I think you can do the diet stuff. It's helpful, right? But it's going to be a lot more supportive, and you're going to be a lot more likely to stick to any kind of new routine if you support your circadian health, because that's going to boost your neurotransmitters, right? It's going to boost your dopamine. It's going to give you correct amounts of serotonin, right? It's going to do so many things for your brain that it's going to make these resolutions that you're making easier to stick to. Okay. And then you might find that it improves the way that your body works. It improves your mitochondrial health so much that you do have more energy and your body is able to kind of burn off more energy, or what we call calories. I hate using that word. But this is foundational. So for most people right now, I know I have some people in Australia that follow me. I'm hoping that if you're in Australia, you're sleeping right now. I know I have some people on the other side of the globe, New Zealand, Australia, but most of us in the northern hemisphere right now, the sun is coming up later, like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of people, they have to be up before sunrise. So Dr. Andrew Huberman has done a really wonderful job of making this information available to the masses about the importance of morning sunlight for the brain. He's a neuroscientist. Dr. Jack Kruse is somebody that I highly regard, respect, love his work, follow it, study it immensely. He is a neurosurgeon who has done a great job of talking about the effect of morning sunlight on the brain. But what in the world is the average person who has a job, who has kids, who has all of these things, what are they supposed to do if the sun doesn't come up till 8 o'clock in the morning? And you really want the first signal coming in through your eyes to be natural light. And again, even if it's cloudy, even if it's gloomy, even if it is raining, you still want to go outside. I'm looking at east right now. I've set my camera up to face east, so I'm getting the signal. Now UVA light is still going right now, and UVB, we actually get it here in Georgia. A lot of you guys don't get UVB. You won't get it for a couple more months, but our UVB will start, I think, in about a half hour. But important when you are going outside in the mornings to face east if you can. Before sunrise, though, a few tools for you so that you can kind of get that morning cortisol appropriately rising. There's this myth that cortisol is supposed to skyrocket in the morning. Yes, cortisol is supposed to rise gently in the morning, but what can actually lead to a lot of sleep disturbances, sleep issues, which ends up leading to depression, especially seasonal depression, because, the days are so much shorter, the nights are so much longer, so people's circadian rhythms in the winter tend to get thrown off way more than in the summer. So how do we, again, circumvent that and create this natural rise of cortisol that's appropriate with the day, time of year? So when I'm going outside and looking, facing east at 8 o'clock in the morning when the sun comes up here, 7:50, 7:45, I'm telling my body, it is January the 2nd, it is winter time, the days are this long, the nights are this long, right? So when my body knows that, we're supposed to create hormones in response to light. So my body's like, okay, let's begin this cortisol production in a healthy way. When I'm getting that UVA signal, as I'm getting right now, my body is starting to make pregnenolone, it's starting to make sex hormone, thyroid hormone, dopamine, serotonin. All of these things are transmuted through that light signal coming in through my eyes, okay? So again, what happens if you have to be up, you have kids, you have a job, you have to get to the office? What I recommend in my shorter days, longer nights guide is using some sort of a red or an amber light bulb in your home, and or using some blue blockers. Now, I've got my free guide to blue blockers that talks all about blue blockers, a few different brands. I even have a really inexpensive brand that I've tested in that free guide to blue blockers that's in my resource guide in my bio. So download that if you want to figure out which blue blockers you're going to wear. But a lot of people, to kind of help your hormonal regulation in the mornings, you want to keep it a little bit more low key, and you want to either wear blue blockers, and I don't recommend wearing red blue blockers if you have to walk around the house, because you're going to bump into things. It's not going to be safe. So typically I keep these beside my bed, and when I wake up, before sunrise, I'm going to pop these guys on, and I just wear them around my house. I've changed out a lot of the light bulbs in my home to be circadian friendly. So incandescent bulbs, and there are some other bulbs listed in my resource guide, again, that's in my bio, that you can start to switch out in your home. You can also use like a red light panel to illuminate your home. Some people, they're like, I really want to exercise in the morning, it's my only time. I'm like, just please try to wear some blue blockers, cover your skin, keep a red light panel going. And if your cortisol is a mess, if your hormones are a mess, then you might want to take a break from doing that for just a little bit, right? So red light, amber light, these lights are going to be the least disruptive to your circadian rhythms. So those are going to be appropriate in the morning. And I will wear these yellow glasses if I have to drive either before sunrise or after sunset. Now, there's there's a lot of people in the quantum space, in this circadian health space. I love them dearly, but they live off grid. They are walking around with no shirts on all the time and can be in the jungle, and I love that for them. But I'm a mom. I have a 12-week-old baby and a 15-year-old and all the things. So that's not really going to work for me. What you need for sunrise, again, the more dysregulated your hormones are, the more dysregulated your sex hormones, cortisol, all that, if you can spend more time getting morning light in your eyes, the better. But if you literally only have 30 seconds to a minute, take your blue blockers off, poke your head outdoors, and try to see, even if it's gray, even if it's rainy, even if it's cloudy, face east and get that natural signal in your eyes. If you use like a light meter to see the amount of light that's available outdoors versus indoors, it's actually astounding, the difference of how much brighter it is when you're using a light meter outdoors, even if it's like this, like today, super overcast, super cloudy. So again, even if you only have 30 seconds to a minute, stick your head outdoors. If you are somebody who's chronically ill, which I seem to be getting a lot more people who are chronically ill and having a lot of health issues, you can crack your window open and get a signal coming in through that open window. Now, you're not going to get the same signal through glass. Glass is going to block out a lot of those beneficial rays that you need to signal your eyes, to tell your brain, tell the hypothalamus, hey, it's this time. Let's make adequate amount of cortisol, the correct amount of cortisol for this time of day. Let's begin that production of sex hormones, thyroid hormones, neurotransmitters. Let's start that production. Because what a lot of people don't realize, we get so caught up in doing the perfect diet and diet dogma. A lot of people don't realize every cell in your body and every organ system has a little clock on it. So it is always looking to know what time it is, because certain organs and certain systems in the body are supposed to run at specific times of day. Okay, so that is why this light stuff is so important. And I still think diet's really important. I'm working on a course right now called Quantum Nutrition. So I'm going to go into nutrition because I've had so many requests for it. I'm working on this course. But I find a lot of people, if they can get the light stuff first, the nutrition stuff is a lot easier, a lot easier. Let's see, someone says, can we look almost directly at the sun if it makes spots okay briefly? I don't love anyone to just look directly into the sun. You still have to be smart about it. You want to protect your eyes. Look in the general direction. If you're seeing spots or it's like feeling like it's too much and your eyes are super sensitive, don't look directly at it. Just look in the general direction. Again, if you've got buildings, mountains, trees, anything that's blocking the view of the sun, it's not a problem. Rain, clouds, not a problem, because you're signaling to your body, it's 8 a.m., it's January 2nd, January 3rd, right? So you're getting that appropriate signal into your body so that you can make those appropriate hormones. So busy job, kids, all that stuff. If you can literally stick your head out the door for 30 seconds to a minute, if that is all you can do, it's going to be helpful. And then so the sunrise is when the sun is between 0 and 10 degrees. The way that you can find that out for you where you are is either using the D-Minder app or the Circadian Life app. Circadian Life app, my friend Carrie B. Wellness, she has the link for that app in her bio. I don't have it in my bio, but that's a great app if you want to know exactly what time is sunrise, what time is UVA. So the purpose of sunrise for your body is, let's stop that production of melatonin and begin an appropriate production of cortisol that is correct for this time of day and this time of year. Because in the winter, we're actually supposed to make less cortisol, believe it or not. We're supposed to make more melatonin in the winter. It's the hormone of darkness. So we're supposed to undergo more repair functions and sleep more and do all these things in the winter. Most of us are not doing it. We're living in this eternal summer because we keep the overhead lights on, the TVs, the screens, we keep the heat on. So our body doesn't actually know, hey, it's winter right now. We're supposed to be doing more autophagy, more apoptosis, more of this stuff that's really supportive and healing to the mitochondria. It's supposed to happen during winter, but again, we don't live in accordance with those rhythms. And so during winter, we have more depression, we have more obesity, we have more health problems, more thyroid issues are really prevalent in the winter also. And I think that the light component is very much overlooked when we talk about these issues. Is the best time to wake up during sunrise? I tried it for a couple days and was very dizzy, disoriented. How long does it take for the body to adjust? It takes probably, for most people, 3 days, right? 3 to 5 days. So if you do it the first couple days, you might need to set an alarm. And here's another thing. It depends on how your body is right now. How is your mitochondrial health? For a disease state to begin to take hold, your mitochondria has to be 70 to 80% dysfunctional, right? That's when you start to have cancer. That's when you start to have these metabolic problems, diabetes, all that stuff. So we have a lot of room for error, but because we're so disconnected from light code, and food is light code too, you guys. That's another thing. I'm not saying food's not important. Food is a part of light code. It contains the light code where you live. It contains information for your body. So if you're living in Canada and you're eating pineapple, that's a confusing circadian signal. It's a circadian mismatch. It's going to create some inflammation. And someone says, where to learn more about quantum and circadian health for educators and practitioners, hoping to incorporate this in their practice. Thank you for this. So there's a link in my bio for the Circadian Certified program through the Quantum Biology Collective. That's the program I did, their very first cohort in October of 2021, and I just signed up to take level 2 quantum biology starting in January. So that's what I recommend for practitioners who want to incorporate this with their clients. I have a ton of courses also that are really super affordable, and I've had doctors, I've had nurses, I've had health coaches just take my 21-day leptin reset, which is on sale for 20% off through tomorrow evening with code end of year. But I've had a lot of practitioners just take that course and start to implement a lot of this stuff with their clients, with their patients. So, and it's so cool to get to spread this information, because my healthcare practitioners are typically the sickest, honestly. They're typically the most ill, are people who are working in hospitals with fluorescent lights going all the time. They're not able to get outdoors. A lot of them are working nights, and then they're eating, the quick energy foods, the candy bars. And so it's pretty ironic. A lot of my doctors and nurses are some of the sickest people that I work with. But the good news is, you can turn this around in a matter of a few days. So that, going back to that question, someone had wanted to know, how long is it going to take for this to become natural and normal for me? I say 3 to 5 days. But again, if you're somebody who's very dysregulated, maybe have an autoimmune condition, maybe chronic illness, something like that, it will take a little bit longer. And I want people to know a little bit. It's called quantum because it's a small thing that you do for a big result. So sticking your head out the window for 30 seconds to a minute might sound stupid, right? I'm gonna wear these blue blockers around, and okay, here's sunrise time. I'm gonna go pop my head out the window, 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'm gonna go back and lay on the couch because I'm tired and I have a chronic illness. That is a huge step, right? And then, okay, it's UVA time. Maybe I can cuddle up with a blanket and go sit outside for 5 minutes or so during UVA time when the sun's between 10 and 30 degrees. So those little changes can make a huge difference for someone in their energy. Michelle says, do you need to use blue blockers after you've already received the morning sun signal? So yeah, I go over that in my blue blockers guide that's in my bio that you guys can get that for free. But if you're in an environment, so let's say you have to go into an office with a ton of, fluorescent lights, LEDs, like these lights that are basically, so the problem with those lights that I don't think a lot of people realize is that it is telling your body, regardless of the fact that right now it's 10:39 in the morning, if I was in an office like that, it's telling my body it's like middle of the day in June. And when we understand how light code actually affects our body, when the signal I'm getting in my eyes is telling my body, make enough cortisol, make enough pregnenolone, make enough make all these hormones, again, to get all these organ systems, all these things online. But it's also protective. It's so beautiful the way nature works. It's a protective mechanism also. So when we're in the summer and we've gotten that light signal, it's a gradual, you get the sunrise, get UVA signal in your eye, your body is gradually making enough cortisol, all these other hormones to protect your skin from strong UVB light. So we do make more cortisol. We're supposed to make a little bit more cortisol in the summertime, and that is part of this hormonal cascade that acts like a natural sunscreen so that we can get some sun on our skin in the summertime and get some vitamin D, right? Get that strong UVB. So what happens if you're in the middle of the winter in an office at 10 o'clock in the morning, and your eyes are getting this signal that it's noon in June because you've got all these overhead lights? You're going to be making way more cortisol than your body needs, number one, for the time of day and the time of year. So blue blockers, that's a prime place when I would use blue blockers. Now, these are raw optics, so they block out all the blue and green. Viva Rays is a brand that I work with, and their yellow blue blockers, their day lenses, do not block out all the blue and green. They let some of those in. There was a really interesting talk that Huberman did with Dr. Samar Hattar, I believe was his name, and they talked a little bit about how, with blue blockers, you don't necessarily want to block all the blue and green. When I go into an office or somewhere with really horrible lighting, at this point, I'm so light sensitive now that it makes me feel sick and dizzy. So I have to wear the stronger blue blockers. But Viva Rays has the ones that they don't block out 100%. So it's really up to you and how you feel in those environments. The big thing is if you're in an office, or if you're in a space where you do have to be under those lights and you're wearing blue blockers, especially if you're wearing blue blockers that block out all the blue and the green, you want to take light breaks, like as often as you can, even if it's for 5 minutes. So, people are taking smoke breaks, right? People are taking snack breaks and coffee breaks. So we need to make this a normal thing where people are taking light breaks. So again, you go outside and your body's like, oh, it is 11 a.m., wintertime. Cool, right? I got the signal, I got the message, I can go back in, go do my work. So that's super important. Let's see, how do we measure mitochondrial health? There's not really a good test for that, but it is really how well is your body's energy management system performing? Do you feel like you have a slow metabolism? Do you feel like you can't sleep well? Do you have an autoimmune condition or diabetes? That means you have poor mitochondrial health. So I like to look at things now from that lens of mitochondrial health. And when we can improve mitochondrial health, a lot of those issues tend to improve dramatically on their own without adding in a ton of supplements. There's a lot of other little things we can do. So just jumping back to the morning routine, you can also use food and temperature as a secondary timekeeper. So they're called Zeitgeibers. So light, I love that to be your primary timekeeper. So again, red light, change your light bulbs out in your house, wear blue blockers. Then when sunrise hits, the sun's between 0 and 10 degrees, boom, get some light, 30 seconds, a minute. If you can stay longer, better. My friend, Dr. Corey Gasvini, he is known as Optimal Light Doc here on Instagram. He told me when I first started this work back in the middle of 2020, in the summer 2021, after talking with Dr. Cruz and just being really inspired with his work, he's like, morning light, and the more time you can spend outside in the morning to set that circadian rhythm, the better. Kind of after you hit 11 a.m., you go into this little bit more of a circadian dead zone where it's like it's beneficial for you to go out there and get those light rays for other reasons, for the purpose of cellular hydration and just creating more energy in the body, more electrons. But for your circadian health, it's that morning light that's super, super wonderful. So, do what you can. Progress, not perfection. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. If you got 5 minutes, take it, right? And then the best time of day to do red light therapy, I love it. This is what I do during the winter to deal with seasonal depression. I am trying to get that light signal in my eyes first thing, right? I don't typically wake up super early because I have a 12-week-old baby, and we've had disruptions of getting up and feeding in the night. So I usually sleep right up until sunrise, put my blue blockers on, and then jump out here and get some natural light. It's after my morning light signal that I will do a little bit of red light therapy, and there are a ton of scientific studies that show benefits of red light therapy for seasonal depression, for depression and anxiety. It's very, very cool scientific research. And the red light therapy panel that I love and use is linked in my bio. It's EMR Tech. I use that one because Dr. Cruz recommended it to me personally when I talked with him for the first time almost 2 years ago. Dr. Jay Montgomery, Dr. Michael Twyman, Dr. Leland Stillman, all these really amazing doctors that I really hold in high regard recommended that EMR Tech panel. So that's why I use that one, and there's a link in my bio for it. But red light therapy, I love it in the morning, but if you don't have time to do it in the morning, I just would like it if people can do it on their body as a treatment before sunset. Because for some people, my husband is not one of these. My husband doesn't listen to he doesn't wear blue blockers. He doesn't listen to anything I say. It's fine. It's kind of ironic, but he does red light therapy, and he'll do it at 9 o'clock at night after my daughter's asleep, and it doesn't disrupt his sleep. A lot of people, if they do that red light therapy as a treatment on their skin, is going to disrupt that melatonin production for them. So you can use it to illuminate your home, but you don't necessarily want to put it on your skin after sunset because it can disrupt your circadian rhythm. And yay, Amy's signing up for level 1. Amazing. Yes, Dr. Boros is amazing. I had Dr. Boros on my podcast to talk all about deuterium. Deuterium is hugely important in this whole circadian conversation. Absolutely. And my quantum nutrition course that I'm working on currently It's going to have a whole section about deuterium and food and seasonality and just kind of understanding that, because we get so caught up in the food world of this versus that, this diet, that bad, you know, good, bad, whatever. There's a quantum conversation, there's a circadian conversation that needs to happen around food, instead of demonizing all these different things and having all these fights. And there's a lot of freedom in that, and understanding just really the laws of nature. I mean, it's a really beautiful thing. And yes, I will save this live stream. I'm going to post it up on my YouTube and put it on my podcast also. The course I originally did was with the Quantum Biology Collective. It's with Quantum Health TV. There's a link in my bio that says, you know, do you want to become certified as a coach? And you can follow that link and get more information on it. Meredith Oki is the person who runs this, and she's amazing. She's been on my podcast several times. Let's see. Yeah, red light at night disrupts my sleep big time. Yeah, and it'll do that. I'm the same way. So the other night, I have a baby. I have a 12-week-old. I have someone helping with him right now, so I can jump on, get some work done, and say hey to you guys, Happy New Year. But I'd had a long day with him, and I'm like, okay, I just need to do some red light therapy. But you know what happened to me? I totally could not sleep. I was so frustrated. I did the red light therapy at 8 o'clock at night, and I could not sleep. Let's see. If you can't get morning light, a Sperity D lamp. No, I would not do a Sperity D lamp. And the thing about morning light, again, is if it's cloudy, if it's rainy, you're still getting morning light. A lot of people are like, well, I live in a cloudy, rainy Seattle, you know, Canada, that we don't see the sun. It's still there, and your body still gets that appropriate signal. Your body needs to know what time of year it is and where you are. That is the power of circadian rhythms. You can use something like a red light therapy panel to help you boost your mitochondrial function, to help you manage seasonal depression, anxiety, those types of things, but it's not going to be a substitute for morning light. It is not something that you're going to use as a replacement. It's a supplement. A Sperity D lamp, that's a whole other kind of nuanced conversation. I go into that deeper in my Winter is Coming course. So it's a 2-hour webinar that I did. Really, I'm cautious around the Sperity vitamin D lamps. I used one last year. So those of you that have been around for a while, you know I used one last year. I still have tan lines from the summer. It's January. I still have my tan lines from last year. I got a ton of vitamin D. And the Sperity lamp, when you look at studies of UV light and cancer, they have all been done on lamps like the Sperity lamp and tanning beds. So this is really why I'm super cautious now about creating a post or creating content and say, if you have depression and you have low vitamin D in the winter, get a Sperity lamp. That's the big reason why. And then there's a more nuanced conversation about vitamin D. If you go on my YouTube channel and listen to the conversation with Jim Stevenson Jr., we really dive into that a bit more. But if you're going to use a lamp like that, you better make sure that your circadian rhythms are on point and you're blocking artificial light at night, because a lot of the studies that have been done on artificial light at night and health issues have been on cancer, and cancer is occurring with artificial light at night. So very nuanced conversation with the Sperity lamp. Never use it by itself. If you're going to use it, always use it with a red light. Always making sure you're getting morning light, you know, sunrise, UVA, as many natural light signals as you can, and not just, you know, sleeping in till 10 a.m., pulling out your Sperity lamp, using it alone. That's not going to, it's going to be a circadian mismatch and can cause some more serious problems in your body. So red light on your skin and red light as lighting in your home are two separate things. Your body is receiving that treatment, and if it's receiving that treatment after sunset, it can be circadian disrupted. We have photoreceptors on our skin also. It's not just the eyes. The retina is the most powerful place for light to come in through the eyes. But we also have it on our skin too. So you can use a red light to illuminate your home, and it's not necessarily going to disrupt your circadian rhythm as much as it would if you put it on your skin. And honestly, in the winter time, you know, this going along with, and I'll get more to as we go through a day, So in dealing with that seasonal depression, as much outdoor light time as you can get. And then when sunset hits, either yellow or orange glasses. And then 30 minutes to an hour before bed, you switch to the red lenses. And all this is in my free guide to using blue blockers. But that is going to tell your body, let's start that melatonin production. So even if you've got red lights on in your house, I still protect myself with blue blockers. You don't have to, but that's just, I just feel better that way. Let's see. So, all right. You don't necessarily want to buy blue blockers on Amazon. There's a brand that I have recommended people that's less expensive than the two brands in my bio. It's called Spectra 479. Tested that one with a spectrometer. It does what it says it does. The problem with a lot of these cheaper blue blocker glasses, especially clear blue blocker glasses are not going to block out what they say they do. When you test them with a spectrometer, they don't block out what they say they do. So Spectra 479 is an inexpensive brand, but do not scratch them, because if you scratch them, they're going to be ineffective. They're going to allow those light rays in. So if you can be real careful with glasses, that's the brand that I think it can be helpful for people. Let's see. For vitamin D, I mean, I don't like cod liver pills. Honestly, I'd rather you get DHA from like salmon roe, egg yolks, like food sources like that. Cod liver oil can be helpful, or just eating cod livers. Anytime you can get like food is going to be better, but really you're only going to be able to take about 2% of whatever vitamin D sources from food that you're eating and synthesize that into D for your body. It's going to help, but it's literally only about 2% that your liver can store. So I eat more wild seafood in the winter because it does help with the brain, with that seasonal depression. So I will eat more DHA in the wintertime from food, not fish oil capsules. But knowing that that's not going to really budge my vitamin D levels, honestly. Let's see. The Dawn Simulator alarm clock, I don't like those because they're full of blue light. So full of an unnatural light signal. The SAD boxes, as well as the alarm clocks that kind of gradually get brighter, they're absolutely full of junk light, and your body is going to interpret it, even if it's just a dim little bit of light, it's still going to interpret it as like, whoo, we got to really pump up this cortisol. And and it could be, when you go outside, if you live in Florida, right, or if you live in Canada, it's going to be two different types of signals that you're getting from the sun. So the purpose of the circadian signaling is to tell your body what time of year it is and what time of day it is. An alarm clock and a SAD lamp is not going to accomplish that for you. So that's why I really don't like those very much, and they could actually throw off your hormone production. So how to properly do cold plunges if you're struggling with getting pregnant. So I would definitely check out, number one, I'm doing a fertility course with Carrie Bennett. There's a link in my bio to get more information on that, because it is a very nuanced conversation when we talk about cold plunging and female hormones. Now, cold plunging and getting cold is another great way to deal with seasonal depression, because it can boost your dopamine up to 400%. So it can give those neurotransmitters a huge boost. But you do have to approach cold therapy as a female with caution, and as a male too. We're not robots. We can't just do the same thing every single day. We're not meant to, right? So you have to respect your other life stressors. You have to respect, did I sleep well last night? Am I really sore from workout? Like, is my body needing more recovery? And then putting yourself in a stressful situation. So if you're going to cold plunge as a female for improved fertility and improved hormonal health, that is what I did. I know it sounds completely insane, and it helped my seasonal depression like you have no idea. Then you want to start slowly. You don't want to just jump right into a cold tub necessarily. You're going to start slowly. You might just dunk your face to start off with. You might just dunk your wrists. If you live in Michigan or Canada, you may not even need to do cold plunges. You might just go outside. Anything colder than your body temperature is cold therapy, and is going to give you a great benefit. And cold showers are not going to be a substitute for plunging. They can be helpful. They can give you those mental benefits, and they can give you a lot of great benefits. but a plunge is going to be a lot more powerful than a shower. And here's a little secret. Cold showers are terrible. I hate them because what happens when you get into a plunge is this thing called the turnover effect. So as long as you immerse like up to your neck, and I know Huberman talks about this as well, you're covering up the collarbone and then the back of the neck. So that brown adipose tissue is like, hey, okay, we got to create some warmth for this person. So once you are in there, in that plunge for 30 seconds to a minute or so, your whole body begins to warm. It's called a turnover effect. If you're in a shower, there's part of your body getting cold, the other part of your body's not getting cold, it's got the air exposed, so you never have that turnover effect, so the whole thing just, like, it just stinks. It's not fun. So I did used to do a lot of cold showers, and they are helpful, and they can give you that dopamine boost, and they can help you, but it's not gonna be the same thing as plunging. And again, for fertility, you have to be very careful. You have to watch for stress, signals of stress, and back off. You want to respect your cycle. More in the first 10 days of your cycle you can do, less in the latter half of your cycle, and really listen to your body and tune in during those times. And for cold and food, as Zeitgeibers, I was starting to talk about that. If you want to give your body a little extra boost, a circadian boost of like in the morning, and this again can help seasonal depression, cold shower, cold plunge, cold face dunk, right? Sunlight, cold. Morning. Evening time, warm bath, warm shower even. Because in the morning we want our body temperature to come up, and a cold actually helps to increase your body temperature. In the evening, you want your body temperature to cool down for nice restorative sleep, for producing melatonin. So a nice warm bath or sauna, or those things are a little bit more appropriate the latter half of the day. Any recommendations for severe panic attacks? So I definitely recommend the work of Irene Lyon. She's a friend of mine. She's been on my podcast several times, and continuing to do this circadian work. I've seen a lot of people with severe depression and anxiety and a lot of issues actually come out of that, and I'm one of those people. I was on like 5 different medications for years, for sleep, for anxiety, for depression. I mean, hardcore medications. I've talked about this on my YouTube channel before, like really went in depth about what medications I was on. I've been off of all medications for about 8 years now, using an appropriate diet. And also these circadian tools have been magic for me at keeping my mental health and the panic and the anxiety tremendously helpful. Let's see. So with those lights, the sad lights and then the alarm lights, the other thing that you want to know is if they're flickering, that's going to be stressful for your brain. And if something can dim and then dim in and dim out, has a dimmer on it essentially. Those lights have worse flicker than just your regular standard light bulb. So that's the other reason I don't like a lot of those alarm clocks and then the sad lamps, is because they have a huge flicker rate. If you take your phone and film it on slow-mo, you're gonna be like, what? Because that's what your brain is actually seeing. That's the problem with our phone screens. So another thing you can do is turn your phone screen red. That's what I do for 95% of the time. If I have to create a post on Instagram, I will turn it off so I can see what color it is. And I'll typically have I walk around like with my blue blockers on my head like this. I'm just a weirdo like that. But I'll kind of take them on and off as I'm creating posts and content so I know what color things actually are. But the blue blockers can help you with the flicker, but they can also help you with that circadian signal. So that's another reason why I don't love those lights. UVA, for some people that don't get UVB, UVA is all day, right? But the UVA that's going to help you set your circadian rhythm, you're going to get that more so in the morning time, and that happens right after sunrise. Let's see. She says, I like yellow glasses. They make me so happy for some reason. I'm sensitive now to light. They help me. If I have a lot of bright lights in my eyes, I feel like kind of just overwhelmed. I don't feel good. Does Spectra have all the lens colors? Yes, they do. And they actually will allow you to put those glasses over your regular glasses if you're somebody who wears prescription. Both Raw Optics and Viva Rays, the two brands that are in my bio, they will take your prescription and create glasses for you there. That's funny. She says her son begged her to please not wear the yellow lenses to drop off at school. So yeah, this is another thing. So in the mornings, if you have to be driving during the time of sunrise and UVA, and I wish I had mentioned this earlier in the video, crack a window or open your sunroof, right? And someone says sardines. Yes, sardines are amazing. Get the Wild Planet sardines in water. I love those. Those are fantastic. You really want to have more DHA in the wintertime because DHA is also helps your body communicate more with light code. So that's another really helpful thing to do. Okay, so Michelle says her hormones and cortisol are a mess, trying to get her circadian health back on track. So definitely check out my 2 free guides in my bio, the blue blockers and the shorter days, longer nights guide. Those are going to be helpful. And then I've got a ton of courses. Those are all on sale through tomorrow, the 4th at midnight with code end of year. So if you want a deeper dive into some of the free content, those courses are available and they're super helpful. Yes, Stephanie says the cold therapy makes her daughter it can make you sleepy, but if you're getting really exhausted after you cold plunge, that means you're doing too cold and you're doing it for too long. So I go over this in my cold therapy course. Signs to look out for with cold therapy. You're doing too much of it. You're doing it for too long. If you're exhausted, if you're starving, right? It's going to make you more hungry because it's going to boost that, mitochondrial function, speed up that electron transport chain, do so many amazing, amazing things for your body. But if you're exhausted, you're probably doing too much and too long. Amy said, just plunged this morning. It wasn't super duper cold, but it felt great and great labor practice. That's insane, girl. I did not do any cold plunging while pregnant. I'm going to say that. But I also had my baby in October. And it was warm. I was laying out in a bikini like a couple days before my son was born. So it wasn't really as appropriate for me to be plunging. And my labor happened super quick. I was going to have a water birth. Didn't happen. He was fast. Red light devices in Europe. I know EMR Tech will ship to Europe. I know that they do. What brand of caviar roe do you buy and how much of it do you eat? How many days a week? So I eat more in the winter than I do in the summer. And I actually ate probably the winter amount while I was pregnant because I wanted to give that to my baby. But I use, Caviar Russ, R-U-S-S-E, I think I probably said that wrong, Rus. That's the brand I love. And my husband was like buying it for me directly from them because my Whole Foods had it and then they wouldn't have it. And I was gagging on the other stuff. So Vital Choice is the other brand that I'll tell people that they can get online. Vital Choice has great wild seafood. So that's one you can get. And I do a tablespoon 4 to 5 days a week, especially in winter. Amy says she did cold plunging too before getting pregnant. Yeah, it really can be very helpful. Yeah, living in Michigan, going outside for cold therapy, should I just wear long sleeve? Yeah, you want to cold adapt. So don't go out on your first day if it's freezing cold outside in a tank top if you're not used to it. You can bundle up a little bit and just get yourself used to it, right? Get yourself used to being out there. The thing about cold therapy is you want to cold adapt. You can't go, I have a cold plunge in my house here, and I just did it for the first time since having my baby, and I did 2 minutes at 48 degrees. Now, before pregnancy, I was doing like 3 to 5 minutes in 32 degrees, but I built up to that. It took me about 2 months to build up to that temperature. So even outdoor cold therapy, you want to build up to it. You don't want it too much too fast. You can get sick. It can stress your body out. You mess up your hormones. Be too hungry, be too exhausted. So you have to approach it gently. That's why I have a cold therapy course. What do you think about sauna with rounds of cold plunge back and forth? I think it's freaking awesome. If I had more time, I would do it myself, but you always want to end on cold to get the metabolic benefits of cold therapy. Let's see. Oh, thank you for being here. Yeah, and it's so hard for her to be cold with adrenal fatigue. It's a comment here. That's where in my course I talk about people who may want to approach it gently, right? So you may just want to dunk your wrists in ice water, and that's your cold therapy. You may just want to dunk your face. If you have a lot of stressors on your body, autoimmune issues. If you have chronic health issues, you need to be gentle with a stressor. A stressor is fasting, a stressing is cold plunge. Those things are stressors, exercise, but they're good stressors, so they can create a good response in your body. But if you do it too much, too hard, too soon, it'll be a negative effect. Do you cold plunge in the summer and spring? I'm gonna do it this year because I live in Georgia and it's like the devil's summer here. It's so hot. So I'm definitely going to be cold plunging this summer. I'll let you guys know how that goes. Some people don't do it at all in the summer because it's not circadian, you know, on a circannual rhythm. It's not necessarily appropriate, but I plan on doing it this winter for sure. Someone says how to heal leaky gut. So the first thing that nobody talks about in the gut space is and I did a post on this, probably have to do another one soon, is the importance of your circadian rhythm with gut health, because those gut cells are supposed to turn over on that circadian clock on a regular basis. If your circadian rhythms are a disaster, your gut cells are not turning over, you're never going to heal your leaky gut. You can throw all the supplements in the world at your leaky gut and it's not going to heal if your circadian health is not on point. And that's the same thing with so many different conditions, autoimmune conditions and chronic health. It's not going to get better until you really mitigate your light environment. You can throw diet at it and that could help a little bit. You could throw supplements, that could help a little bit, but it's not going to create a long-lasting change, because at the end of the day, those gut cells are supposed to turn over in your sleep. You're supposed to create a new gut lining on a regular basis. But if you're not getting autophagy and apoptosis, you don't have great melatonin production at night, not going to happen. Same thing with weight loss and leptin. That's why I have a 21-day leptin reset program, which you could use to help you with gut issues also. But leptin docks to the hypothalamus while you're sleeping at night. If you're not sleeping well, if your circadian health is a mess, leptin's not docking to the hypothalamus as it's supposed to, and your body literally doesn't know how much energy it has on it. So that's why your body is like, I'm hungry, I'm not hungry, my appetite's all over the place, I can't seem to get my weight under control, because there's no communication happening between your fat cells and your brain, or it's broken communication. That depends on circadian health. Do circadian rhythms work the same for kids? Yes. I actually expose my 12-week son to appropriate light signals, and it helps him not to confuse his days and nights, so that he, you know, of course he's so little still, he wakes up to eat in the night, but he'll go right back to sleep when he eats. It's like not a huge disruption for us. But yes, get your kids out looking at sun. Get your kids outdoors as much as you can. I know it's harder during the winter to do that. And then at night with your kids, try to keep them off of screens, or at least have them wear these blue blockers. Daniel White, he's here on Instagram. I'm going to have him on my podcast again soon. He actually is doing a whole trial over in England right now with teenagers and blue blocking glasses, and how it's helping them to avoid anxiety and depression and actually improve their grades in school, because a lot of these kids are doing video games. And so he's not taking away their video games or their TV, which I still don't love those. I don't like them at all, actually. All he's having them do is pop on some yellow blue blocking, not even the orange or the red, and they're having tremendous results with anxiety and depression and improved grades in school, improved test scores. So this stuff is like, people look at it and they're like, it's woo-woo, it's stupid. No, it's really powerful, especially for your mental health. Does your leptin course cover circadian health? Yes, absolutely. Would it be helpful for getting high stress and getting back on track? I've gained 20 pounds due to stress. That's really one of the first things that the program will help you with, is your cortisol patterns. That's usually what's at the root of a lot of health problems, but definitely weight gain due to stress. What I just said about leptin, if your cortisol melatonin patterns are all mixed up, that signal of leptin and your fat cells, everything communicating with your brain, is not happening. And so that is usually the number one culprit as to why people have gained all this weight out of nowhere, right? Happened to me, and once I changed my light environment, started doing all the things in my 21-day reset course, I dropped a bunch of weight that I had been trying to lose through diet alone for years. And I was like, wait a minute, right? And then I was hooked. And then I was like, I'm studying this. I'm learning more. I've got to dive into this. And it changed the way that I look at everything. If you don't use sad lights for the morning, what do you use to wake up, please? I don't use anything. My body wakes up naturally with the sunrise, and that happens 365 days a year. So my body is so used to getting that morning signal that I will wake up when it's sunrise. This, like I said, for me, took about 3 to 5 days for this to happen. I have a 3-day circadian kickstart course that can kind of walk you through how to do this. But my body doesn't need an alarm clock. I haven't used an alarm clock in forever. My body knows it's go outside because I'm so connected to where the sun is at the sky at that particular time of day and year. My body knows now. And it's not just me. I have hundreds of people that I've worked with at this point, and hundreds of people that have taken my 21-day course and have taken, all my other courses, and they can report the same thing to you. Someone says, winter, how do you get sunlight? You just work with what's out there. So it's gray. I cannot see the sun right now, but my body is getting what it needs right now from light signal. If it's cloudy and overcast, you try to spend a little more time outside. If you're stuck indoors, then try to crack a window open and try to get rid of as much artificial light as you can. You can turn your phone screen red, and you can use a software like Iris on your computer. You can also have a little red light going, but I always try to have a window cracked if I can, if my husband doesn't freak out that we're losing all the heat out the window. And if I can't do that, I just peek my head out. So some places you're not gonna have sun that you're gonna see, but it's still important for you to get that code. Let's see. Rhonda says she's alive, day 13. Oh, good. I'm glad you're doing okay, Rhonda. Rhonda's one of my clients. Let's see. Did I get bruises when I use the cold vest? So if you're getting bruises, you're overdoing it. You're overdoing it. So make sure you have a little more protection underneath that vest. So structured water is essentially, so I have some great interviews on my YouTube channel with Dr. Gerald Pollack, with Jen Isabel Friend, with Carrie B Wellness, tons of interviews, and then the Anna Lima people on my YouTube channel. So in my audio only podcast. But the water inside of your body is structured. It's not like water in a glass that you get out of the tap, which is not organized, not coherent. That's H2O. This is actually some structured water. And when you structure the water, it becomes coherent and organized like it is inside of your body. So H3O2. I love talking about the drinking water and the importance of drinking water. It can really, really help you, especially in the winter time. If you have a lot of, if you're exposed to a lot of unnatural light signals, drinking structured water can be very helpful. Clean spring structured water with minerals, very, very, very important, can be very helpful. Because what happens when you're under a lot of fluorescent lighting, when you've got a lot of unnatural light signals, your body loses water. A lot of people say we're 60-70% water. We're actually 99% water molecule. And the water that's in those molecules is H3O2, so it's structured water. So the most important thing to do is protect your body so that you're not losing a ton of water all the time through non-native EMF, through improper light signals, through just being indoors all the time. Those things can dehydrate your body, and there's a lot of scientific research. If you look at Dr. Martin Pall, Pall, look at his work on this. It is fascinating. So you don't want to deplete the water in your body. You want to start with nice, healthy water in your body. But you can also, like what I do, I structure my water, minerals, all that stuff, and drink that, because I do live in a city. I do live in EMF soup, and there's only so much mitigation that I can actually do. Let's see. And I have to go pretty soon because I have to get some work done. But it's been fun to talk with you guys. No, I do not. I eat a local and seasonal diet. That's what I eat. People are saying they did face dunks and that helps. Yes, Joe says he does a warm to hot shower, then do the coldest shower I can get. That's awesome. So contrast therapy can really, really, really help with getting acclimated to cold. So doing sauna and then doing cold, or doing a hot shower and then switching it to really cold, that can help your body acclimate a little bit better to cold. What should we look in? Light bulbs, Kelvin. So Midwest Red Light Therapy has some great bulbs. I would look at theirs. And someone says they've got their 9 and 18-year-old wearing blue blockers. That's really, really, really awesome. Someone says, I loved your Tom Cowan podcast. Good to hear people speak the truth. Thank you. Yeah, that one did not go up onto YouTube. That was audio only because I don't want to lose my YouTube channel. But yes, please, Joe. And you can follow Daniel White here on Instagram. He's doing an amazing, amazing study right now on these teenagers and the anxiety and depression and stuff that a lot of teenagers deal with. Yes, I wonder, a lot of it is probably societal pressure and social media and all this stuff, but how much of it is that they're staring at their phones all the time? When I was in high school, I had a beeper. I did not have, I'm glad I was able to grow and develop without cell phones and without all these things. If we wanted to do something after dark, we were jumping out the window and sneaking out and like using a beeper, and we had landlines. And so we had to make sure our parents weren't answering. Like, it was a different world. Kids were not as depressed and anxious as they are now. And I do think that the non-native EMF and the light has something to do with that. Yeah, so someone says the sun doesn't come up here until 7:30, but my body wakes up around 6 every morning. Can I fix my circadian rhythms with waiting over an hour and a half to, yeah, just pop on some blue blockers, right? Just pop on some blue blockers, get some light bulbs in your home that are circadian friendly, and then go outside, right? So, all right, y'all, I have to run. I'm going to miss some of these comments, I know. I don't know about the tuning forks. I would think so. My friend Carrie B. Wellness is really the master of structured water, to be honest with you. Yes, how to get structured water. The Analemma wand is a really easy thing to do for structured water. Natural Action Technologies also has a device. I just bought a spring aqua system for my kitchen where I get structured water out of the tap. It was a splurge, but that's what we do. And yeah, Christian here, this is key. So this is the takeaway moment here. He said, still walk daily, no matter what the weather, to combat seasonal depression. So that's the big takeaway here for seasonal depression. Even if it's dark, even if it's cloudy, you still want to tell your body what time of day it is, what time of year it is. You can use something like a red light therapy panel to help yourself, right? Yeah, and 30 dry days, she says she just exposes her water to sunshine or moonlight to structure it. You can. A lot of this, you can buy fancy gadgets and devices and stuff, but you can also use what nature has given us as well. And then one more thing I'm going to add before I jump off here. Evening, it's just really super important to protect your circadian rhythm. So if you do have to wake up in the night, that's why I keep the blue blockers beside my bed. I also use like a little amber clip-on light if I need to see to get around, and I have red night lights around the house so that if I need to see my way around. So that way my circadian rhythm doesn't get disrupted as much if I have to wake up in the night, because I do have a 12-week-old baby right now. So it's a little more challenging when you have a baby. So yes. All right, guys. Well, thank you. And yeah, people have dogs and kids, so just keep that environment circadian friendly. Blue blockers, light bulbs. Again, I've got those free guides in my bio, and if you want to know more, my courses are all on sale, 20% off. And you can get red night lights at either Gemba Red or Midwest Red Light Therapy. Though they have red night lights at both of those companies. I have no affiliation with either of them, but those are great companies if you want to get those circadian friendly night lights to put around your house, which I do have. All right, guys, Happy New Year. Thank you for watching. I'm going to post this on YouTube and my podcast if you want to watch an easier version of the replay. Have a really great week. Happy New Year. Bye.